Welcome to January's Club. We are really excited to kick this year off with a different focus for the club than we've had before, and that's honey. And so we have 4 accompaniments that are honey involved, and then we've got 6 cheeses that, it's just a wide variety of cheeses that, I mean, almost every cheese goes with honey, but we specifically selected these because we think there'll be a lot of fun with the accompaniments that we got for you. So my name is Rich, this is Alejandro, and we're going to kind of walk you through the cheeses that we have in the selections this month. And if you're new, welcome. We're glad you're here. And Alejandro, where do you want to start?
All right, for standard club, we're going to always be featuring 4 cheeses. So for the first one that we're doing, we're starting with Cabral Golfio. Cabral Golfio is a cheese that not necessarily has anything involved with honey, but we thought it will be a great pairing with the honey that we're featuring. Is a goat cheese from Spain that it's a fairly young cheese, only gets to see 3 to 4 months. But the outside of the cheese...
We'll start that part over.
Yeah.
Cool, let me grab the door for you. All right, thanks so much. Have a good one. Okay, so why don't you start with our accompaniments?
Let's start. Accompaniments?
Yeah.
For the 2 accompaniments that we have for the standard club this month, we're doing some crackers, and this is featured from Frog Hollow Farmstead in Vermont. They started making these crackers in-house for their tours that they offer at the farm, but it's nettle salt crackers that also have been brushed with honey. And believe it or not, it's a little hard to find a cracker or a cookie accompaniment that it's not a Graham cracker. So I'm excited for everybody to try this, but I feel like it will be a great balance in between something salty and sweet, which is the whole premise of the club. You have the honey and the salt component, which is the cheese.
And well, and I'm really excited about these crackers because like they, rushed, like they finished up a batch specifically for the club so that we could have it in time to send out to you guys and have it available for pickup. So kudos to them, and I'm excited to have this in the club.
Yeah. And then the next one that we have featured is also a new honey that we haven't had before. Everybody should have a jar of this. This comes from America, specifically from Valencia in Spain, and it's an orange blossom honey. For honey, you can have multiflora honey or polyflora, which is a different variations of pollen, creates specific flavor, or you can also have monoflora, which is in this case only pollen that comes from orange blossom tree. But it's a honey that's very fragrant, lots of citrus aroma, but it will be a great balance for all the rich and more like aged cheeses that we have in the standard club.
Yeah, and you can tell by the honey, like it's not overly dark. It's kind of lighter in style, and it's also flavor-wise, usually orange blossom, nice and sweet, and so like Alejandro was saying, great with cheeses of all kinds. So for the club, we are starting out with a goat cheese from the Canary Islands in Spain. We've got Cabral Golfio. This is, the exterior of this is rubbed with gofio, which is this like food product. It's made with cornmeal. They use it in all sorts of recipes and cooking there, and it's just on the outside, and it really...
it almost gives the cheese a slightly nutty and sweet balance, which is not very often common for a goat cheese, but I feel like that's the way to connect the corn, slightly more toast flavor with the sweetness of the honey.
Yeah, because it is a toasted cornmeal, and so that flavor is really nice. Also, there's a little textural component on the rind, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty smooth cheese, being that it's a pretty young goat cheese. Next, we've got Toma Truffle. This is a young Gouda-style cheese from Point Reyes Creamery out in California. Tons of shaved black truffle in there. It's got a really good truffle flavor, and Toma is one of those cheeses that it's not overly complex because it's a pretty young cheese, but it does have some really nice buttery notes, and that truffle flavor is great.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
The richness specifically from Toma, or all the cheese that comes from Point Reyes, I feel like that's the way we wanted to have it, at least for this month. They do something amazing with the milk that they use for the cheese, but it gives the cheese this rich, sweet, almost sweet cream flavor that I feel like with the honey that will be a good way to have a balance.
Yeah, and the rind on this is like a paraffin wax, so don't eat that. So there's your rind warning. Our other rind you don't want to eat is this Isabella Two Sisters Gouda. This is from Holland. It's got a wax rind on the outside. You can see extremely decorative, obviously not natural, so don't eat that. But this has been aged about a year. It's got those really nice sweet notes. Being that it's a Gouda, the age brings out some caramel notes as well, a little nuttiness, some butterscotch.
Yeah.
So really cool stuff with honey.
And having before tomato truffle, which is the younger Gouda, and then the aged Gouda, I feel it was also a great way to have for you guys to try how the aging also interacts with the honey, because you have so much more deeper and rich flavors with the aged Gouda that I feel like that will make the honey be a little more present in the bite.
Yeah, and it's also nice to be able to compare these. I know one's flavored and one's not, but you really should get a sense of what aging does to cheese. You know, the base flavors that are there intensify over age. It loses moisture, becomes more firm. Also starts to develop some crystallization as it ages. So lots of cool differences between these cheeses just from an age standpoint. But speaking of age, our last cheese in the standard collection is a 5-year aged cheddar from the Hooks Creamery, and they've been making cheese for 35 plus years, Tony and Julie Hook, and we carry their 10-year aged cheddar pretty much all the time in the case. The 5-year, lot less intense than the 10-year aged Gouda, and you know, once again, because of kind of that more intense flavor and also kind of that kind of elevated sense of saltiness, honey is going to be where it's at with this cheese.
Correct. Yeah, and I feel like we're going through, I think, this through this theme of the Standard Club, at least through the aging of the cheeses. And even though the Hooks is going to have a much more creamy texture than the Gouda, the flavors get definitely a little more intense. But specifically, how the honey, it has also a really nice sweetness, but still very deep notes. I feel like that will be a good balance with the cheese.
Yeah, so that is your Standard Club. Some really cool stuff, and I think you'll find some really great pairings in there. If you are part of the Deluxe Club, there are a couple of additional accompaniments, both of them honey-centric.
Yes.
And so, Alejandro, why don't you tell us about what we're going
The first one that we're doing is a little local honey from Round Rock. We also carry Round Rock at all times at the shop. We love what they do, but specifically for the barrel age, they use whiskey barrels that have, bourbon barrels that have been previously used to make corn blue whiskey, but they take the barrels, they cover the barrels with the same bee wax that they have at the farm, and then they add the honey into the barrels, and this hangs maybe for like 3-4 months, just so all these oaky, vanilla and more rich notes penetrate into the honey. But it has this beautiful mellow and the texture, mellow flavor, that it doesn't feel too oaky or woodsy. But the sweetness of the honey on its own, I feel like it will be a great complement for the cheese.
The thing about Round Rock is they have hives that go from just north of Austin and Round Rock all the way up through Denton. Their honey they make is, like Alejandro was saying earlier, multi-floral, so it's just a wildflower honey. But you add it to a bourbon barrel. If you've never had bourbon barrel honey before, this is a great example of what that can be. Super good.
Yeah. The next one that we have is a honeycomb, and honeycomb is not something that we always carry at the shop. This one specifically,
Kind of hard to get sometimes.
Yeah. This one specifically that we have right now, it's one that we try to get pretty, at least more consistently, but it's a seasonal item that they don't offer all the time. It's a family-owned business by two brothers, Fabrizio and Pier Paolo. They've been harvesting honey over 20 years for beekeeping, and they invented this specific method of making honeycomb, which is they create these little wood rectangle frames that they put into or within the beehives, so the honeys go directly into this little frame and build the honeycomb on there. So there's actually no hand into the actual honeycomb or into like the beehive itself or of these bees, and feels a little more natural, less handling of the product, and it's raw, unfiltered, and unpasteurized as well. But it's also the beauty that you get this little frame with the perfectly built honeycomb into it, and the flavor as well is just delicious.
Yeah, I mean, honeycomb looks great on the board. Always fantastic with cheese. And because they have it in these little frames, they don't have to do any cutting, so there's no waste. It's fantastic. Cheese-wise, we've got a couple of fun cheeses with this, cheeses we don't normally have in the shop. The first of which is a little cheese that I fell in love with a number of years ago, and I didn't realize we could get it till Alejandro brought it in here, because we haven't been able to for a while. This is Marin French's Golden Gate. So Marin French is the oldest continually producing cheesemaker in the United States. They've been around since 1865. And this is named after the Golden Gate Bridge. It is a washed rind cheese, so a little bit funky on the nose, but the rind is edible. You're going to find some meaty and brothy flavors in there. It's always a challenging cheese to pair with most anything, but the one thing that it almost always pairs with really well, honey.
Yes. And specifically, that's what we wanted to feature on the deluxe for the bourbon barrel honey, just to have these more rich and deeper notes. But it's a cheese as well that I fell in love with the first time that I went to ACS with Rich, which 3 years ago now. And recently, we've been able to get the cheese. But when we were planning this around honey, I knew we wanted specifically something that was washed rind to complement those earthy notes.
Yeah, for sure. And the last cheese we've got is Danish Blue. This is a kind of a classic blue cheese. It's, I don't know, like when you think about what blue cheese is and kind of just like, this is blue, like this is blue. It's just a easygoing cow's milk blue. It's got a good blue flavor, but not over the top. This is the kind of cheese that, it's great to make a dressing with. It's great to snack on.
Crumble
on. It's really crumbly. It's great for that. But blue cheese is the saltiest of all cheese because you're trying to control the bluing. And so, like, having honey on there, it's just a perfect combination, balancing that saltiness.
Yeah, and out of all the blues you could have picked, we wanted something that will almost like conglomerate all the specific flavors of what you think a blue could be. It's a little lemony, a little tangy, salty, but it has a good creaminess. Yeah. So having all these components that will balance so well with honey, which is almost like your sweet component, I feel like that's the best way to get into blues and honey.
Yeah, it is really, super exciting. So that is it. That's the club. We've got a honey-focused accompaniment. You have 3 honey items, some honey
flavor crackers,
which is great. Really tiny producer, by the way, there. And then a great selection of cheeses. And one of the things I like about this, when Alejandro was like, hey, we should do honey for January, because we're doing a honey class in January, I thought, what a great idea and what a great way to explore a lot of different cheese flavors and styles all in one box. So that's what we got for January. Coming up next month, because it's February, it's the season, right? Yeah. We're going to do a box once again that is focused on the accompaniment more so than the cheese, and that is chocolate and cheese. So right before Valentine's, the entire week beforehand, we do all of these chocolate, cheese, and bubbles classes. So we just felt like let's just lean into the season a little bit.
We had a little practice with that one.
Right, exactly. So we've been pairing chocolate and cheese around here since 2009, and so this will be a really fun box. If you've never really explored chocolate and cheese, I think you're really going to enjoy it. We'll have a variety of selections once again. As always, if you have any questions, comments, need anything with your club, feel free to contact me, Rich at Scardellocheese.com. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we can't wait to share the next month with you guys. We'll see you then.